Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
Don't you understand, George? It's because you were not born.
Film church.
Well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
This horror will not stop until innocence is destroyed, until evil be thy name.
Hey, baby. Welcome to Film Church Radio, the podcast that treats cinema as a religion. It's Sunday. I'm Branden.
And I'm Lewis.
And we're here to talk about movies. Each week, Lewis and I alternate picking a film for both of us to watch and discuss. And today, I picked the film Evil Dead Rise from 2023. That's weird to say. Directed by Lee Cronin, starring Lily Sullivan and Alyssa Sutherland. Get ready for a groovy time, because this film is all groovy. It's going to be a groovy podcast. Of course, listen to the end of the episode to hear what we're watching next week, because I don't even know. Lewis is going to tease it. Or he's not going to tease it. He's going to tell us what it is.
We come to the episode next week and you're just like, I haven't watched anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
You wouldn't tell me anything more.
But before we get to the movie Evil Dead Rise, we want to say thank you to everybody who has been listening to the podcast and sending their love to for the show and to the show. We are about to hit a milestone, I think. We probably will hit it by the time this episode airs. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who has been sharing the podcast. We recently switched our podcast host over to Spotify, so we're trying to get that, monetization going. You got to hit a certain number, and we're like 7 away. And I think we might hit it by the morning. So Lewis and I are going to be celebrating the next few days.
That's right.
But yeah, we couldn't have done that without you guys. Thank you to everybody who's been following us on social media and resharing our episodes and podcasts. And if you have a favorite episode, let us know what it is. I'm curious. I want to know which your favorite episode is of Film Church Radio. Before we discuss the film, also we've got like a hymn section. So this is the section where we sing praises to other films we've been watching this week, other than the main feature. So what's up, Lewis?
What's up, dude?
What have you been watching?
I have been catching up with the films of this year. We're approaching, the midway point. We're like a month away. So, and I really, whenever I look at my letterbox, there's like 2 films from this year that I've logged. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's rough. So I've tried to fill in some of the gaps. Started with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which recently came to streaming. Not super excited to see it. I was a huge fan of the Ant-Man films. They're always kind of, I think the first one is in my top 10 of Marvel films.
Yeah.
Really like the fact that they're not super serious and kind of, have a lot of fun and stuff. It was fine.
Yeah.
As a film, it's more of the same from Marvel. I think there was a few elements of it that I liked. I liked the fact that it didn't really waste much time. We were like into the quantum realm like pretty much within the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they could let it be as weird as possible. But I don't know what it like. I wanted it to be weirder. I feel like the same with Doctor Strange. I wanted it to be like more crazy.
Yeah.
You could just tell they were like, I don't know, a guy with a broccoli floret for a head.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, push the boat. Let's do something that's bizarre. Like that will make you kind of question what you're watching.
Yeah.
And it just seems to be very, it's paint by numbers, as always.
Yeah. I mean, I still haven't watched it, and I'm going to watch it probably soon, within the next month or so, because it's on Disney Plus now. But yeah, I mean, I didn't rush out to the theater, and I'm not rushing to see it even now. So
yeah, it was. I mean, it's a shame now because you can just tell that, especially with Jonathan Majors, they're really building it up Yeah.
Yeah, I mean everybody that has seen it, that's said anything about it, has said so far like Jonathan Majors is the best part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like,
I
is
know.
he gonna still be around? Maybe
Yeah.
not. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, there was lots of stuff online about Loki kind of going into reshoots to kind of work around it, and
That's so crazy.
it's
Yeah.
just like it's I mean, it's a problem, isn't it? When you
Yeah.
especially with Marvel, who do announce their slate so many years in advance.
Yeah,
things
because I mean
change.
they've been
Yeah.
been building this up.
Yeah. I mean, it went in, I think, at number 17 out of 30. Maybe lower than that. So it's not, it wasn't awful,
On your
awful.
list of
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah. Because I really didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder, and I really didn't like the new Black Panther.
Yeah.
So it's, it's okay. But like you said, you really like Guardians, so I'm really hoping.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, also seeing things in movie theaters bumps your experience way up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure. I then watched the Super Mario Brothers movie. That I know that you watched a few weeks ago. We watched it with my daughter because that is now available to rent as well. And it's really fun. I think that we've recently watched the Sonic movies as well because she's into. It's the kind of films that you can put on as a family.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
I mean, kids love the Sonic movies.
Yeah, they do. But I was really happy that it was animated for the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah,
I'm like, they can just go as crazy as possible.
Yeah.
The animation looked absolutely beautiful. Illumination do some really great stuff in terms of like colors and like images and stuff like that. I liked, the slight tweaks to it, how they were, the accents, how they only put them on for the commercial and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a good time with it. I think that it's a solid animated film.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a good time. I rated it a little bit higher than you, but I also saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast. I don't know if you know who Bert Kreischer is, but he's like a comedian, and he had Kevin Smith on his podcast, and they talked a lot about movies. He's got this movie coming out soon called The Machine, and Mark Hamill plays his dad. You've probably seen some of the trailers.
Yeah.
Which I'm kind of excited for because it's like rated R comedies.
Yeah.
It's a rated R comedy in theaters, which I don't know.
Yeah, when was the last time we got that?
Yeah. So I'm hoping it does well, but and I'm definitely going to see it. But anyway, Kevin Smith was talking about how he bought a movie theater recently. And he's like, all the new movies aren't doing any good. Like, they're doing like no business. But like when he shows an older movie, it like sells out.
Wow.
With the exception of Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's been like selling out. And he's like, kids are like just going crazy in the theater and like singing along the song with Jack Black. And like, he's just like, wow, that's
like, great.
It's a movie that's bringing people to the movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
well, Mario at this point is a character that's touched like 3, maybe 4 generations.
Yeah.
So it's like a wide appeal, and like I can, I really wanted to watch it with my daughter, so I can imagine a lot of people that really like Mario are in the same boat.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I watched, caught up with this from this year, was Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Amongst Thieves, which, when I say I went into this with no expectations, I meant absolutely zero. It didn't seem like the kind of thing that would interest me at all. I've not been that interested in it in terms of, watching trailers. I don't think I've seen a trailer or like sought one out.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really good. It reminds me a lot of like the 90s adventure movies, like The Mummy.
Yeah.
It's, funny. There's some parts that are a little bit scary for like younger viewers. There's like a really good heart to it. It showed like a platonic friendship between a male and a female. that had
Yeah.
no hint of like romance, which I'm like, cool, that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like I gave it 3.5, but honestly, on a rewatch, I think it's probably going to go up to about 4. I think
Nice.
it's really good,
Yeah.
surprisingly good.
Yeah, that like just came out, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I really haven't heard anything from anyone.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I want to see it, but I
Yeah.
just haven't been able to make it work with my schedule. And
Yeah.
plus, I think it's like once Guardians and Super Mario came out, they dominate.
they do.
Like they literally they're just like there's literally 22 showings of Guardians, and like the same for
Yeah.
Mario. Like when we went to see Guardians, it was like on the left it was like there's Mario, on the right it was like there's Guardians, on the left there's Mario, on the right
Yeah.
there's Guardians, like every single theater. And it's like this is all Chris Pratt dominating 40 screens at this theater. Or 40 showtimes
Yeah.
today. It's just crazy. I mean, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it just like pushes everything else out. Like to the
It
point
does,
where like,
yeah.
you know, there's not going to be showtimes available for Dungeons and Dragons where I can, you know, there's going to be like 2 showtimes. I might not be able to go to one of those,
Yeah,
or maybe
Yeah.
even only one.
yeah, it'll be like Thursday, Friday, Saturday night at like 9:30.
Yeah.
Is like the only time that you'll get, you know, a screening now. I think it is on. Is it on Paramount Plus now? I think it's just come over to Paramount Plus as like, you know, one of their newly.
Yeah. Newly released.
Yeah. So if you don't get a chance to see it in the cinema, there is that option.
Yeah.
But yeah, Chris Pine. Talking of another Chris, I love
Awesome.
Chris Pine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he really kind of carries this movie. And I've never played the game, so I have no idea what any of it means.
Yeah.
But I still had a blast with it. But it's not going to sound like I had a blast when I say this, to the point where I fell asleep for like 5-10 minutes. And then, like, instead of just being like, oh, whatever, I was like, no, I didn't want to miss it, so I rewound it.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did.
That's awesome.
I did really enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it, but yeah, it might take me a little bit.
Yeah, perfect popcorn movie. Get some popcorn. You know,
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Yeah, there's lots of times where that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
cool,
Well,
man.
glad that we can add that to your list. What have you been watching?
I have been watching a few things. I did watch the Evil Dead, or just Evil Dead from 2013, which I'll talk about when we start talking about the movie Evil Dead Rise. But I also did get a chance to go see Hypnotic
Yeah.
in theaters, the Robert Rodriguez movie, which I mentioned like last episode or a couple episodes ago. It seemed like it happened fast. I saw a trailer. I was like, oh, cool. It's cool to see a Robert Rodriguez trailer in a theater. And then all of a sudden it was at a theater. And I probably wouldn't have been able to go see it or make the time to go see it if it wasn't for the fact that it was Mother's Day and Sarah's mother wanted to go see it.
Nice.
And, you know, the film curator and me wanted to be like, well, I didn't want to be, but there was a part of me that was like, should I say, like, you might not like this movie? And I was like, no, I want to see it. So I'm not going to say anything to deter anyone from not going to this movie because I want to go.
Yeah.
And I'm probably not going to be able to, because it's like with family stuff and like, you know, you've got obligations and like, you know, you can't just be like, fuck off, guys, I'm going to go see this movie instead of hanging out with you on my day off.
That should be on a
But, like,
t-shirt.
yeah. But like if they want to, you know, if people want to go see movies, it's like
Yeah,
a plus.
win-win.
It's like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, let's hang
Yeah.
out and go see a movie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, please. And it wasn't even my idea. So we go to see this Robert Rodriguez movie, Hypnotic, starring Ben Affleck, which is, I think, is the reason she wanted to go see it. She doesn't know who Robert Rodriguez is, but she knows Ben Affleck, and he's done a lot of, I don't know, like, my mother-in-law is like someone who is very particular with the film she watches.
Yeah.
She doesn't like rated R stuff. She doesn't like cursing. But I guess Ben Affleck has done some things in recent years to kind of, I don't know, not necessarily be more family friendly, because that's not how I would describe his
Yeah.
movies. But like, I don't know, he did that movie The Accountant,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that I think that won a lot of people over.
Mm.
And there's something else I can't think, but
He did like a gangster. Was it called Live by Night?
yeah, but that was his his
directing.
movie. Yeah, he directed that. Yeah. And I think because that didn't do well, he decided not to keep doing Batman. Because he was supposed to direct Batman after that, and he was like, "Y'all didn't see my other movie, so
you're not going to see this one."
Yeah, because that's all people would ask him about, and he's like,
"Yeah, oh, bless him."
But I am glad he's coming back for the Flash. But anyways, Hypnotic, I actually really enjoyed it. It is weird. It is very weird. It is a bit like you can tell the low budgetness of it. But it kind of feeds into what the movie is in a way that complements it and doesn't like make it like, oh, this is like such a terrible B movie or whatever. You know, it complements the tone of the movie. And as I was watching, I was like, this would be really, really, really good as if it was made in like the 1950s as like a crime noir, black and white film.
Ooh, okay.
Because it has this really interesting old school noir vibe.
Nice,
like
okay.
Even with like the dialogue and like just all of it, it feels it feels very old-timey and out of place in a way, but that also helps with the subject of the movie because the movie is supposed to be, it's called Hypnotic. It's supposed to be kind of like dreamy and strange. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed a lot of the movie. There were parts of the movie I was like, I don't know, that was weird. But I think I don't know. Obviously, the movie is still kind of like, I haven't quite decided all of what I feel about it, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Like it's something I want to see more of. It's something I want to see Robert explore more. I want to see more of these kind of like movies out. Like he hasn't made a movie like this, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't made like a crime. Well, I guess he did do Sin City, but that was more, comic booky, obviously. But I think what he's been doing in recent years, he's been doing like more Spy Kids movies or like, he did Alita Battle Angel, which I didn't see. I still want to see that, but yeah, I just want to. I don't know. I'm a fan of his. I want to see him do more. I want to see him explore more and not just do mexploitation films and stuff like that. Like, so I don't know. It was good. I would recommend. I would be curious to see what you think about it. You probably won't enjoy it as like you probably won't rate it as high as I did. I rated it 3.5 out of 5, but I think you would find it very interesting.
Cool. Yeah. I'm a fan of Ben Affleck. When you were kind of talking about what he's done recently, I kind of had a look back through. And he did the Netflix like basketball, like The Way Back, which I enjoyed. I thought that was pretty good. And he did the awful one with Anna de Armas, which isn't proving my point at all. But I do, I tend
like
to kind of.
Who directed that? That was like
I don't know. Let me have a look who directed. I'm not sure, but I know that he kind of got buried a bit at Hulu because they had broken up. It was.
Were they together or something?
Yeah, and then they weren't. It was the guy who directed Fatal Attraction, Adrian Lin.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
But yeah, that movie is awful. But yeah, in terms of kind of what, I do watch the movies he does.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say. So I will seek it out.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's also interesting because like Robert is... Like, I love his career also. Like, I love his filmmaking style. And now he's at a point where his kids are, like, in their 20s, I think, or somewhere close to there. And so they're very involved in getting involved in the process and contributing to writing. Like one of his sons is a composer, I think, and then the other one is kind of doing more of the writing and producing and stuff. So
cool.
yeah, it's cool that he lives in Austin, which is right next door. So he's like just over there in my backyard making cool things and involving his whole family and just doing things outside of Hollywood, just like pushing against he's always just like pushed against what the system says like how you're supposed to make a movie.
Yeah.
But other than that, I watched Still, the Michael J. Fox movie documentary on Apple, and it's really good. I mean, I know you've probably already heard that it's super good. I mean, the trailer, like, it looks super good. Michael J. Fox is a legend. He's a part of our childhood. He's adored by so many people. And we haven't really seen him for a while. I know he's done some things, like, but obviously, like, the world is kind of drowning in content right now, like, in a good way, but, like, you know, it's like the things Michael J. Fox has been doing haven't been at the forefront.
No.
So it feels like we haven't seen him in a long time. So it's kind of cool just to, like, watch something with him in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, you know, and it's about his life and he's talking to the camera the whole time. And, yeah, it's just like hanging out with an old friend, you know?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, I'm excited to talk about it with you when you watch it. 'Cause like, it's crazy to see clips throughout the 90s of what he was doing in his career and how he was able to hide his Parkinson's through his acting is just wild.
Crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, it's super good. I also wanted to mention that I did go to Austin this past weekend, and we just like went to a concert, and we were walking around the night before on 6th Street. Yeah, so we were just like bar hopping, right? And we were walking down 6th Street, and I like turn and look over and see the Comedy Mothership, which is Joe Rogan's new comedy club. And I was like, oh, look, there's, you know, that new comedy club, you know, that, because I follow Joe Rogan sometimes. Like, I don't follow him as much as I used to, but I was just like, oh, look, cool, there it is. And then we keep walking a little bit, and I look back and realize that it's the Ritz. It's like the Alamo Draft House that used to be on 6th Street. And I was just like, oh God, no. Like, I mean, I like comedy. I like comedians. I'm all for, like, I mean, it's another art form. It's another way to express yourself. But as like a filmmaker and film, I mean, we have a podcast called Film Church. Yeah. It's about, you know, cinemas being your church. And you and I both love Alamo Draft House. And I knew that Alamo it was gone now, you know? Yeah. But just to realize, like, oh, like, that now it's that. I was just like, damn. So it just kind of, you know, hurt my you know, made my heart ache a little bit. But yeah, I mean, me and Sarah went there when we first started dating and saw 10 Things I Hate About You. I think that was unfortunately the only thing I've like got to go see there. But yeah. One cinema dies, hundreds of comedians are laughing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'll get to go back in there and watch some comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. We're just in such a weird time at the moment for cinemas and cinema chains. You know, it seems like box office numbers look good. You know, like Mario, like we were talking about, it's done really well as of the other stuff. But in comparison to, I mean, that's just one movie, you know. Yeah. Before you used to have like 2 or 3 that were doing good numbers. Yeah, I don't know where the way forward is from this. I only hope that, you've got to rely on people like the Academy and other places that are like, no, you've got to have a theatrical run for you to be like considered, and like got to keep fighting to get people to go to see it in a cinema.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, audiences want it. Like the audience, people want to go have experiences in cinemas, and they want to see good things. But the studios just have to trust that I don't know that things will work, and take some risk. I think it's just all about risk. They don't want to take the risk. They're like, oh well, it'll make money here, so just do that. But they've got money, dude. They've got so much money. Like they have money. Yeah. Like I mean, they just killed that Batwoman movie. Like Warner Brothers did. They just were like, we'll just call that a loss. Yeah. And it's like you could at least just release it. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. It is. It's insane. I mean, like like the podcast that you were listening to with Kevin Smith, the fact that it's like the older films that are doing well. It's like maybe we're just going to get to that level where it's like re-releases and new releases in harmony, and the same time you'll have like the new Marvel film alongside a silent film that's being re-released and like a classic from the 50s,
Yeah.
That's my dream. It's like, let's see all of it.
Yeah.
Give me the opportunity to see these films on the big screen,
Yeah.
And also like, let me take my daughter to see these films on the big screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would be cool if like theaters would let audiences maybe curate. Like vote. Of course, you probably get a lot of trolls, but
my dream is when she's like 9 or 10, like somewhere is going to be showing Jurassic Park. I'm like, we're going to go and see this movie, and it's going to blow you away.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Like, this is why she hasn't watched Star Wars yet, because I'm like,
you're waiting for that re-release.
I don't know if watching it on the TV at home where you can just get up and go and do stuff is going to be the way that I want you to see it.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know, man. I mean, Star Wars is captivating.
I know.
It's pretty captivating.
Yeah. I don't know if it's just because I just think about it too much and I'm like, this means something to me, so I'm going to sit and watch it all the way through, but, I don't know. I would just rather be in a cinema so she can have the full experience.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, somebody's got to be doing it sometime soon. I mean, they just did Return of the Jedi. I'm sure that did well.
Yeah.
You know, just do all three. Come on.
And while we're talking about this, PSA for everybody buys physical media. The cloud isn't going to be there forever. It's going to disappear. Yeah. People are going to start taking things that you love off streaming sites.
Yeah.
So own it forever on physical media. It's yours.
Craziness.
PSA done.
All right. Well, I think that's the end of our hymn section. And now we are going to move into our sermon section and talk about the feature presentation. Mommy loves you to death. I forgot to even say the title of the movie. Evil Dead Rise 2023. Mommy loves you to death. 3 siblings find an ancient vinyl that gives birth to bloodthirsty demons that run amok in Los Angeles. This is a long sentence.
Yeah.
This is all one sentence. It's like I kept thinking there was going to be a period. All right, let me let me start over for the listeners. 3 siblings find an ancient vinyl that gives birth to bloodthirsty demons that run amok in a Los Angeles apartment building and thrust them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. Oh man. Okay, so I did go see this in cinemas. So thank you, Warner Brothers. Thank you, Lee Cronin. Thank you, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell for pushing them to do that, because what a great movie to watch in the cinemas. I mean, it was planned, speaking of what we were just talking about, it was planned to be an HBO Max, or now it's just Max release exclusively, which is what they did with, the new Predator movie.
Yeah.
Was just a Hulu release, which would have done good in cinemas.
It would have done.
And I know this movie has to be doing good in cinemas because there's still like 4 or 5 showtimes.
Yeah.
Every weekday. And it's been out for a month. You can rent it already on streaming, and there's still like
People
4 or 5 showtimes that you can go see on a daily basis. That alone means the movie is doing well, and people are still buying those tickets because, like, Beau is Afraid, I wanted to go see that. It's already gone.
Yeah.
And like within the first week, it only had 2 showtimes, and now it's just gone.
Oh,
and Evil Dead Rise came out before that. So this movie's doing well.
Yeah.
What a great time this movie is. I love the Evil Dead movies.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi, one of the most incredible filmmakers alive, like inspired so many other people. Worked with the Coen brothers, like influenced the Coen brothers style. Influenced so many filmmakers' styles. And it's hard to beat the originals, right? I really love the first one because it's so inventive.
Yeah.
It's got that amateur quality in a good way kind of thing. The amateur quality adds to the frightening nature of the movie. I mean, it's like that thing with John Waters and Pink Flamingos, to where like because it's amateur, you feel like it's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the filmmaking is such at a high level, even in that first movie, that it's just one of the greatest movies ever. It's got to be one of my top 10 favorite movies. So obviously it's hard to beat that. But this has Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell in the producer chair. They went and found this guy to direct this movie, to write and direct this movie, based on his last film. What is it? I haven't watched it. I was just looking at it today. What is it called? The Hole in the Ground from 2019. It was a Sundance film. And I think they also produced the 2013 version. Well, I know they produced it. And I did watch that recently for the first time, and it was really good.
I
only gave it 3 out of 5. But will probably go up. I'll give it some rewatches. And I had it's a requel, and that was very popular at that time. So it makes sense, that they would do that. But I feel like this movie is, people want these movies, Yeah. But I feel like they went in a different direction with this as a response from maybe some of the backlash. I don't know if they even had any backlash. I'm sure. Yeah. Every movie does. So. But what's really interesting, the movie feels so fresh for the franchise, but when you like break it down, it's like Evil Dead Rise is kind of the same thing, but just it's like it's just dialing it up. It's leaning into the characters a little more. It's characters trapped in a place.
Yeah.
With the Evil Dead. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the same plot as the cabin.
Yeah.
It's just because it's not in a cabin, it feels fresh and new. But it's kind of just like recycling some of the best things about what make those movies work and doing them respectfully and new and fresh, Yeah. But yeah, I had a great time with this movie, dude. I freaking loved it. It was super creepy. The filmmaking was amazing. I think Alyssa Sutherland is my new screen crush. She was amazing.
Yeah.
And what a great way to like to take the idea of what the Evil Dead are and make it even creepier,
Yeah.
you know, by making it your mother, like making it a mother, making it someone that you're, you know, because like I said, it's characters trapped in a place, but instead of them being like a bunch of college friends, it's kids with their mom,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So like it's the perfect way to like dial it up and make it about the characters and about
Yeah.
the family and about, you know, and care about these people and like just be that much more terrifying, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
What did you think? What were your initial thoughts?
I think that it works incredibly well, and I think it works really well on two levels. The first being, as you were talking about that family dynamic, all the, you know, it's, if you are a, you know, late teenager, early 20s, you know, young adult, you know, you've just been literally locked in the house with your parents for the last 2 years, you know,
True,
a little
yeah.
bit long.
Yeah.
So if you're coming out and seeing this, like, it's going to speak to you on a level that you didn't know that you needed to see. You know,
Yeah,
it's kind of that like hell of being trapped inside with people that you love, but you know, you're trapped basically. And the other thing that I think that it did incredibly well was fan service. And you know,
Yeah.
we've talked a lot about, you know, the Marvel films, like, and how they kind of spoon feed you stuff and just like leave you, you know, they're always adding things on characters that you'll never see again for like the next 10 years, just to give the fans, quote unquote, something. You know, Rise of Skywalker was full of fan service that just didn't work. This works on every level. I think it's got everything that as an Evil Dead fan you want to see, but it's not in a kind of patronizing way. You know, the film starts and we get the camera like going through the woods, you know, the very familiar
Spirit,
shot.
the POV of the demon spirit.
Yeah, that turns out that it's not, it's a drone. And then we get the cabin. And it's all over with, like, it's pretty much the fan service that I was expecting is over within the first 5-10 minutes. And then it kind of switches to a homage to not only the other Evil Dead films, but also horror films in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things in here that are like nods to other great horror franchises that just, you know, as a film lover and as a horror film watcher, you're just grinning throughout. You know, I think it's done incredibly well.
Yeah.
And while you were talking about, you know, the last Evil Dead and then this Evil Dead, so the last Evil Dead took about $97 million worldwide on a $17 million budget, which is
holy crap,
pretty good. Evil Dead Rise, from a similar budget, from what I can find, there's no official data, but around 20 million, has already taken 140 million.
Oh my god!
So in terms of, you know,
yeah, because they're easy, not easy. Like, no film is easy, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of like, in terms of a producer's perspective, looking at a script like this and the previous, you know, 2013 one, you got a small cast and one location for the most part.
Yeah.
And that's cheap.
Yeah.
You know, that's easy money right there, you know. And people fucking love them.
Yeah.
They're fucking great. They're everything you want in a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what makes Evil Dead so amazing is the tone. Like, like no other. I haven't seen any other horror movie captured the tone of the Evil Dead franchise, which is absolutely fucking terrifying and skin crawling terrifying.
Yeah.
But comical.
Yeah.
Like, you can't help but laugh at part of it, you know?
Yeah.
And this movie still, it's got it, you know what I mean? It's got that tone. Like, when she's laying there in the bed, when they first think she's dead, and the guy, like, tries to close her eyes, and then they just pop back open, and then you just get that reaction shot of him being like, ew, or like whatever. He's like, you know, he's just like, it's just like, funny. You know, it's just a weird. It's weird, you know. It's just what I want, you know, out of a horror movie, I guess, like because I love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I started watching it the first time, I didn't really like the beginning, but I didn't mind it the second time.
In terms of the cabin bit.
Yeah, in terms of the opening, because I was just like, what? I was like, where's the movie I saw in the trailer?
Yeah.
Give me that.
Yeah, let's get to it. Yeah.
Yeah. But on the second watch, I don't mind it so much. And I know we're still early in this discussion, but I can't wait to see what they do next.
Well, this is it. I mean, logistically, right, if they're making 120 million from this, you know, the next budget has got to be at least double.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You would think if this was the way they want to do it, you know, if they realistically they're like, okay, if we do another one, it takes 75% of this, we still got a bit of a margin that we can make. I mean, so far, every Evil Dead is, I mean, apart from Army of Darkness, which is a little bit different, but it's all been compact. Like, what is going to happen when those demons are unleashed out, you know?
On the world.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. And, you know, it would be so difficult to pull it off, I feel like. But it's what I want to see.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what is that going to look like? Like, I like, how?
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, it would be like, yeah, I feel like it's kind of like leading, because Army of Darkness does feel a little bigger in terms of scale.
Yeah.
You know, the comedy there's a lot more comedy there than horror, you know. But yeah, if they're just unleashed on the world, like, yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that movie? And I wonder if we're gonna get Beth in the next one. Like,
yeah, I assume that's probably where they're going, because it seems to be an origin for that part.
Yeah.
Right. It was kind of, because there's a really good kind of switch on you where you see the opening. And the demon's already out, and she scalps her friend and then kills her boyfriend. And then it kind of goes to, what is it, like a day earlier, the day before?
Yeah, it's like one day earlier.
Yeah. And then we get kind of like how she became infected. Possessed. But so I assume that's where they're going to go next. Is like,
yeah, so just out.
Yeah. Evil Dead Fall.
The Evil Dead Strike Back. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. We'll see. But you know, if they want to keep doing these little intimate ones, I'm for it too, man. Well,
this is it. I think this is. I mean, it very similar to Prey. They took something that we know a lot about. Like, we don't need, you know, honestly, I think where the film drags is the preamble to the possession. You know, like where the kind of the family stuff, where I know they need it, but where they're finding the records and they're playing, you know, all that kind of stuff is like, okay, we know. And all that kind of stuff is very, for me, a little bit flat. But next.
Yeah, see, I didn't mind that stuff, because to me, it really got me invested in the characters.
Yeah.
Which I feel is strong. Like, my investment in these characters is a bit stronger than I am in Evil Dead, like in the originals. I absolutely love the originals, but like, you know, I'm just laughing when people die. I don't really care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas in this movie, like when the family members are kind of going out one by one, I'm like, I feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, I feel invested in that family.
Yeah. You do genuinely have like I have no idea who's going to survive this.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of crazy too, because you feel like, you know, the family's going to get out. Like, you kind of want them to, you know, but but at the same time, you're like, they're going to start going or something.
And I think that's another thing it did well, you know. I mean, we talked about Scream 6 a few weeks ago and how not everybody is disposable. Whereas in this, they introduce, you know, neighbors, and you're like, okay, well, if there's going to be any deaths, it's going to be these 3 or 4 that are going to get it, you know, and the family are going to survive. But it doesn't go like that.
Yeah.
You know, from the very beginning, it's kind of like, no, it's not going to go the way you think it is, which is just unsettling the whole way through, which I love.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I don't need them to survive. Like, as a viewer, like, I want people to kind of get out of it and stuff, but I'm not, like, dramatically, if it works, kill the character.
Well, and also, yeah, exactly. But also, like, you don't, what adds to not knowing which way it's going to go is the fact that in the other movies, people get possessed and then come back. Like Ash gets possessed, and then, like, there's the thing with the sun coming up, and I think it leaves him in the second one. And, like, you know, so we know that people can, like, kind of come out of it sometimes, you know. Like that. But also, like, the thing with these movies is they're kind of ruleless. Like, they kind of don't follow any kind of normal set of, like, zombie or ghost rules. It's its own thing. Yeah. And, like, I was watching an interview with Lee Cronin, the director, and he was, like, talking about that and how fun this movie was to write, because there's a certain, he called it it has a certain nightmare logic to where, like, you don't really have to play by the rules. You can make up your own rules. And, like, in a normal horror movie, you would be like, where did all this blood come from to fill up the elevator? Yeah. And it's like, you don't have to worry about that, because it's the essence of evil itself that you're getting to play with.
Why is there a wood chipper in the basement of a high-rise in the middle of a city?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, with a chainsaw down there.
Yeah, but I don't care, because I'm like, get the chainsaw, kick them into that wood chipper, let's go.
Exactly. Yeah. I do appreciate the cleverness. Like, you can kind of, you know, like, let that pass or whatever, the wood chipper and the chainsaw, but I do appreciate the cleverness of, like, because there's a lot of tropes in this movie too. Like, there's you know, he brings the shotgun in. Yeah. You get the chainsaw. But I do appreciate the cleverness of kind of bringing in the shotgun in a way that's not just like, I have a shotgun, you know. It's like, it's slowly mentioned, and then you see the guy use it, and then it's like not until the third time that you see it, which is the magic number. Yeah. And that she actually starts using it herself. Yeah. And then the same thing with, like, her climbing through the air vents. It's like, you know, that's used so much. It's used so much. Yeah. Annoyingly so, but it's not annoying in this movie somehow. Yeah. You know, and I think it's because they introduced the idea of it early on. Yeah. Before it's used. You know? Yeah. And I think that I could tell where my head was, because when she does reach for the chainsaw, instead of, like, rolling my eyes and being like, okay, you know, the chainsaw, I was cheering. I was like, yes, like, get the chainsaw, let's do it, you know. Yeah. So I think, and again, I think movie wins you over. Yeah, I think that's partly due to the cleverness of it, and also the fact that it knows the franchise well enough to give you, you know, like I said, we get what we're anticipating within the first 10 minutes. Yeah. In terms of, like, okay, there's going to be a cabin in the woods and all this kind of stuff. We get that. And then it's its own animal, but it also has room to kind of give you a nudge and be like, yeah, here we are. Like, this is what you love, you know. And I think that's so hard to do nowadays. And I'm so glad that it pulled it off. Yeah. Like you said, I mean, plus it also has, like, new things in it that you haven't seen before, you know, in terms of, like, horror horrific things. Like the cheese grater
Oh
on the
my
leg.
God.
I was like, ooh, like,
Yeah.
oh man, that made me cringe so hard.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, like it's inspiring too, because as a filmmaker, you can sometimes feel like, oh, everything's been done. But like here they are, like doing things you haven't seen before.
Yeah.
You know, like using a cheese grater on someone's leg, and like
Yeah.
when she's like eating glass,
Yeah.
it's just so creepy.
Yeah.
And the lines in the movie too, like I really felt like the dialogue was a step above your normal horror movie. You know, it like when she's like, I gotta kill the creepy crawlies inside my tummy, you know, and you know, mommy's sleeping with the maggots now, or you know, whatever. Like just all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm free now, free from you titty sucking parasites. Like it's comical, but it's also just so creepy, and it works. It works, you know. It got me.
Yeah, it does work, and like similar to Prey, the change in setting just is
refreshing.
Yeah, I'm just like, I love that it's a high rise, but they do it so that it's inescapable.
Exactly.
You know, in a cabin, it's, you know, I know that the trees come alive and stuff like that, and
the bridge falls.
Keep them, you know, contained. But in this, it's like there is literally nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You know, there's not even an option, which I absolutely, you know, I'm all for. I think personally, I want to go back to 1923 and see these priests dealing with the demon, with unleashing it. That would be.
I mean, that would be. I mean, they've already, you know, messed with time travel. They could do that.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, or even further. Let's, you know, go back to, I don't know, like Settlers, and let's see someone finding the Book of the Dead then.
Yeah.
And like how they deal with it, because it worked so well in Prey. And it also, you know, it just changes it a little bit. Again, it makes it a different beast.
I would be interested to see them go back to Bible times and like when Jesus was around, because he's technically the first zombie.
Yeah.
But also, like, you know, there's that shot in the movie where the crucifix like falls, and it's like a giant crucifix.
Yeah.
And lately I've been thinking about the crucifix, and just how like what a like bizarre piece of imagery it is.
Yeah.
Because it's such a violent piece of imagery. I mean, it's a man that's been whipped to death, bleeding out, hanging on a cross with the crown of thorns, you know, blood running down his face.
Yeah.
Also gets stabbed in the stomach with a spear, like, and people just like wear that on their necks, and like, it's such a normal piece of our like culture.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see them do something with like. Of course, it would be super controversial. I'm sure they would never do that.
No.
But like to go back into Bible times and be like, Jesus is the one who wrote the Book of the Dead.
Oh my God! The Book of the Dead is
he
the
started
Bible.
raising people from the dead, and he rose hell.
I mean, let's write it. Copyright it right now, Branden. We can write.
Yeah,
this.
I hope they're listening. I'll write and direct the next one.
It could be Evil Dead Resurrection.
Oh my God.
Oh
my God! And Bruce could play Jesus. Oh, that would be amazing.
I mean,
it's like, hey, baby,
it's pretty much writing itself. Yeah. But it does bring me on to, because, you know, obviously, unfortunately, whenever I see crucifixes, I think of a certain scene in The Exorcist, which does relate to this as well. You know, there's obviously in The Exorcist, it's the daughter that's possessed. This, it's the mother. Both of them are violently sick at certain points. There's obviously the crucifix. You know, we don't go as far in Evil Dead Rise as The Exorcist does with the crucifix. But I mean, there are so many nods to horror films in this film.
Yeah.
I wrote a few down. So The Shining, I mean, so many.
Yeah,
so,
there's so many. Yeah.
Yeah, the trapped in a house with your family.
Yeah.
One of them goes crazy.
Yeah.
The son is called Danny.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's the shot from underneath when
When she's like
at
up
the
against
door,
the
like,
door,
yeah,
you get
pressing
the-
him back. We get that
Yeah.
famous shot from underneath, the elevator bleeding.
Yeah.
You know, all these kind of nods, but are not like, again, hitting you over the head with it. It's kind of like, oh, I've seen this before.
Yeah,
You know, instead of
yeah.
like, okay, this shot.
It makes it fun instead of like eye rolling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Friday the 13th, the lake at the beginning just reminds me of Friday the 13th. Nightmare on Elm Street, when she's giving the youngest girl a bath and she's like got her hand in the tub, it reminded me of when the main character in Nightmare on Elm Street, I forgot the character's name, is having a bath and then the gloved hand comes out together. All these things that are just like, I'm having such a good time watching this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. It's really good.
It's really good. I love the what do you call it? The peephole on the door.
Yeah.
That shot.
Yeah.
I love all of those shots are amazing. Like it's such a brilliant way to like, just have the camera there and let the actors act. All of those shots are so good, and Alyssa Sutherland, man, is holy crap, dude! What a great casting choice, because she's just so good as a Deadite, so creepy. Like her facial expressions. That first scene where she like comes in and she's like cooking eggs and she's like, has her whole creepy dialogue where she's like, I had a dream and I just wanted to cut you all open and climb inside of you. It's just like, holy shit. It's so creepy. Obviously, the makeup is amazing as well. Like shout out to the makeup department. Like she looks so creepy, dude.
I know. Yeah.
In the best way.
Yeah.
Like the best. I don't know. I hesitate to say, but maybe the best Deadite so far.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I would agree with you. I think, there's the only other one is, I forget the character's name, who's locked in the basement.
In the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only other one that's like, I don't want to say
really
super memorable, but like, genuine, like, oh God.
Yeah.
She is, it's just vile, and it's so scary the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's such a great performance. I really hope that she gets more opportunities, away from this because of this movie for bigger and better things,
Yeah, because she's obviously got amazing acting chops.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't, outside of like wanting to see what they do next with this franchise, I want to see whatever she does next.
Yeah. In terms of horror films, it's maybe one of the best performances I've seen for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It's so fully committed, and so it's, the only other one I can think off the top of my head is like Toni Collette in Hereditary. That's the only other thing that I can think kind of rivals this.
Everybody in Hereditary, honestly. But yeah, I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
It's just...
And I think Lily Sullivan, I think it's, you overlook Lily Sullivan just because she survives. She's the one that kind of, I don't want to say she doesn't have
she's
a lot
obviously
to do, but
also incredible, but she doesn't get to show a side like where she's possessed, which if they do put her in the next one, I'm sure you'll get to see it.
Oh, I'm sure.
She'll probably have a child and then, like a small child, and then she'll have little Cassie with her.
Yeah.
Probably name her Ellie or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. What if her baby is little Bruce Campbell? He's just like the little mini Bruce Campbell from Army of Darkness.
Well, this is the thing now, is like, it doesn't, like, what universe is this? Is this, because...
It's all a part of, I think it's all a part of the same thing, which obviously there's also the show, and I haven't finished the show,
Yeah.
but I'm curious if like the ending of the show ties into this at all, because I think you've got, if you don't watch the show, you've got to at least see the first episode of Ash versus the Evil Dead, because it's directed by Sam Raimi, and it's fucking amazing. It is so it's just everything. It's like it's again that perfect tone of like comedy, horror, and just classic, like amazing camera work and classic prosthetic effects. And Bruce Campbell is fucking hilarious. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it is really funny, and also terrifying. But yeah, I do need to finish it because I'm really curious of it. I know it got canceled, so I don't know if they even had a chance to kind of tie it in at all. But I think there's like 3 seasons.
I think there is. Just off the top of my head, I've never had a chance to watch it, but yeah, I am going to definitely try and fit that in. Talking of Bruce, I did some research. Did you notice him at all in this film?
Well, I heard that he was like doing the voice for like on the recording, or one of the voices.
Yeah, so when Danny first listens to the record and there's the priest talking, and then there's another, I don't know if it's a priest or if it's a villager shouts like, "They're demons, don't let them out." That's Bruce.
Oh, okay.
So like already, you know, the road weary, like he already knows what's going on, which I liked a lot. And I saw something on Twitter, which again can take with a pinch of salt, but when Ellie bites the eyeball out of one of them, the sound effect is Bruce biting into an apple.
That's such a funny little thing to do. Yeah, the eyeball was like, it felt almost out of place. Like, it's so ridiculous that it was like out of place, but it still worked. Obviously, it worked in the theater very well, and like, but yeah, the actual guy, the priest guy, I was trying to figure out, I couldn't find anything on like who that actual voice is, but he says his name is Father Marcus Littleton, so I like Googled that, but I couldn't find who the actor was, and to me it sounds like Andy Serkis.
Ooh.
But I kind of doubt that it is, unless Andy Serkis, I mean, he might just be a huge fan of Evil Dead and was like, please. But it really sounds like his accent.
How rad would it be if they had gone the route? I mean, I don't think they will have done, because I'm sure we would have heard something. But if they'd gone the route of Pearl and X and had just secretly filmed this like prequel
trilogy,
where it's like, okay, we're going to get Evil Dead born or whatever, and it's going to be the priest, and it's going to be Andy Serkis.
Oh, that would be cool.
And like an oldie time Bruce Campbell.
Oh man, yeah, because I mean, Bruce Campbell like time travels or whatever, so like he could be back in that time. Doesn't even have to be Ash. Yeah, could just be an ancestor, an Ash-cester. An Ash-cest. But I think, it's going to be, it would be hard, because as much as I want to see more Ash, I'm like, where does he fit in? I think what I would love to see is a male character that isn't an ass. Because Ash it's so nice and great. Yeah. Whereas I feel like every male character now is not. Yeah. Yeah, Danny was okay. Yeah, Danny was good. But yeah, I mean, like, but he did unleash it, so. Yeah, and like Ash is not, he's very handsy, let's say. Yeah. He's not super nice to women. I mean, I don't know. That might be going a little too far, but by today's standards. Yeah. Hey, she bitch.
But then again, it does sound like I'm advocating for more roles for white males, and I'm not.
Right,
That's
yeah.
not what I'm saying. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's like the one person of color in this movie dies pretty quickly, but also, and he's not necessarily an asshole, except for when he's like, "Can I pray?" And she's like, she's not religious. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm gonna pray anyway.
yeah,
I don't have any respect for you."
yeah, I know. But then again, we all know people like that
Yeah.
that are like, "I'm going to do this for you."
Yeah.
It's like, nah,
This is for your own good.
yeah, I don't need that.
Yeah, man. Oh my god, I loved it. I loved it
Yeah.
so much.
It's just a really good time for not
It's a
only
blast.
lovers of the Evil Dead films, but lovers of horror in general.
Yeah.
And I really hope that I assume there will be, but if there is another one, that again they do something new and interesting with it, and not necessarily fall
Doing
into
the same things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's what worked for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, it worked for everybody else too. I mean, the reason they decided to release it in cinemas was because Lee Cronin was able to convince them to do just like some test screenings, and then the producers saw how well it was was with audiences.
God,
They were
yeah.
like, all right, let's just put it out.
And it's paid off. I mean, it's, I feel that if you put some money behind it, the audience is there.
Yeah.
If you kind of, let people know that it's coming.
Yeah, because I started seeing these trailers in the theater, and I was like, this looks so good.
Yeah.
I have to see this in theaters.
Yeah.
I have to.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone involved in this film.
A success story
Yeah.
for cinemas.
Well, do you want to guess what we rated the film?
Yeah, I do. I
It's
think
that part of the show.
Yeah. I think for yourself, I know that you said that you that you absolutely loved it. I don't think it's 5 stars. I think I think you're like me and you'll look at it in relation to the other Evil Dead movies.
Yeah.
And I don't think it hits the height as 2 or 1 for you. So I'm going to say 4.5.
Okay. I'm going to say you rated it 4?
You are correct. I did rate it 4.
Nice. I think I got to give it a 5, dude. I really love this movie.
That's
It
awesome.
was so good.
Oh, brilliant. That's
I mean,
good.
and it just brought new love back to all of it. Now I'm just like, I really want to just show everybody all of them
Yeah.
to get to this one, you know?
Like I said, I think that they make it look so easy what they're doing. But for someone as cynical as me about remakes and sequels to be like cheering when you see things that it really bloody worked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, even the line she says at the end when she's like, "Come get some."
Yeah.
I was like, that's got to be.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he says that in one of the movies, and I think it's at the end of Army of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because it's like it's not a line that you would normally be like, oh, that's.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it wasn't like groovy,
Yeah.
or anything like that. It was a line that people that had seen the film a few times would be like,
Yeah.
cool.
And we didn't even talk about the freaking creature
Three-headed,
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that was a cool direction to go. That was like,
Yeah.
okay, let's dial it up and add some new lore to this and
Exactly,
be like, oh yeah, well here's a page where they all like form together.
Yeah.
Because we haven't gotten like this many like deadites together.
No, I mean, well,
except for all the like skeletons or whatever.
yeah.
Army
If you
Darkness,
think
but-
of like if this is where they're going to go next in terms of them out in the real world, if that's the direction they go, just imagine like a 100-headed thing.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Just
mental.
creature.
It moved really slow because it did slow it down when it kind of incorporated yeah.
But when it's big, it could just roll over you.
That's right.
Just imagine just like this huge ball of like dead-eyed people just like rolling around LA.
Blood raining from the ceiling.
Oh, man. Oh, so good. All right. So what the heck are we watching next week?
Earlier, I talked about a good animated film, and I'm going to make us watch a great animated film. We are going back to 2018, and we are going to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Because long-term fans of the podcast know, Branden and I love Spider-Man.
Yes.
And there's a new Spider-Verse movie coming. So let's go back and rewatch the first.
Yes, let's do it. I'm so excited for the second one. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about the second one too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's perfect timing. We'll talk about both.
Sweet.
Well, cool. Hell yeah, I'm excited. Thanks for listening, everybody. I think this actually brings us to the end of the show now. But if you want to continue your cinematic enlightenment throughout the week, you can find us on all the social medias at Film Church Radio. We're on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and we create fun clips of the episodes. So if you're trying to figure out what episode you want to listen to, just watch a little preview on our Instagram or YouTube or TikTok and see if you're interested in one of those. And you can also keep up with what we're watching throughout the week by following Lewis and I individually on Letterboxd. I am at Selmanscope, and Lewis is at WalkerLewis3007. We're on all the podcast platforms, so please subscribe, and we'll see you next Sunday for more Film Church. The only thing left to say is, if he comes after me, Stephanie will scare him to death first.
Ghosts aren't real.
Have you ever seen one? It's more of a
Okay, we can go back and do that. Okay.
I realized when I saw it, I was like, I probably should have told you how to do that.
I'm just going to read it as is.
Do you want to start it?
Yeah,
okay.
I'll take it.
All right. Whenever you're ready. Then how do you know they don't exist?
Because I only believe what I can see.
Amen.
Amen. Oh dear.
All right, y'all. Bye.
Bye.